Hey guys, I hope that you're doing well in this nice November, but we've got a problem. I have a friend, Titus. He's a local turkey, and he left me a voicemail the other day, and he was kind of concerned that he was going to get eaten for Thanksgiving, and his friend sent him an article that's supposed to help him escape. Well, he'll tell you the problem. I'm going to share the voicemail with you guys next, and then hopefully through this lesson, we can find ways to help Titus escape.
Hi, Miss Purcell. As you know, Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and I'm a turkey. And you may have noticed that people like to eat turkey for Thanksgiving dinner. So I'm trying to find a way to escape before the Thanksgiving rush, because I don't want to get eaten. Now, my friend wrote me an article, and it's really hard for me to read. I was wondering if there's anything that can make it easier to read something. Do your students have any suggestions about what might help me to be able to understand this nonfiction text?
Titus has a really good point. What are some things when we're reading that we can put on the page or that we see on the page that make it easier for us to understand? For example, when we're reading to younger kids, right, we have drawings, and those drawings can make it easier. But when we've been reading things in class that are nonfiction, what are some things on the page that you've noticed? So what can an author put on a page that helps us when we're reading nonfiction? Please write one example in your reader's notebook. When we see this symbol, it means pause the video and do what I have instructed you to. So right now you should be writing in your reader's notebook one example of something that a nonfiction author can use to help us on the page, besides just the words. Today's objective. So class, today we're going to learn about different text features. We're going to learn the definitions and the purposes of 5 text features, and we're going to be able to recognize them in a text. Then we're going to use these text features to help us to understand a nonfiction text, and that's going to help us to help our friend Titus escape so he won't get eaten for Thanksgiving dinner. All right, now everyone should take out their Titus the Turkey text feature discovery packet. Please write your name on the front and turn to the next page. So I hope you guys are ready to learn about text features. So you should be open to this page. So it's the second page in the packet right after the cover. And it says, "Dear students, Titus Turkey here. Please fill out the graphic organizer and answer the questions on the question page as you listen." So I'm going to show you guys a slideshow about text features. You guys are going to listen. And as you listen, you're going to write down, ooh, a title. What is it? And how does it help? And you're going to do that for each of the text features that we learn about. So you can pause the video whenever you need to. If you need to write, just hit that pause button. All right, so everybody get ready. This is very exciting. So just like I was saying, here you should be where it says title and headings, and then you'll flip to the next page when I let you know. Okay, so let's discover text features together as a class. So first you might be wondering, what is a text feature? Well, a text feature is a part of the text that the author uses to help the reader, that's us, understand and organize the information that's written. So there are things that stand out that help us to understand what we're reading. So today we're going to learn about a couple of those. The first text feature is something I'm sure you've heard of. It's a title. So as you may know, the title is the name of a book, article, essay, and more. So you can look at this slide and you can see, look where the arrows are pointing. The arrows are pointing to the titles: Solar System and All About Bees. So you can write that down. Now in your packet, you can write title, what is it? So pause the video and right there where it says what is it, you can write the definition of title. So we know what a title is, but what are they for? Well, the purpose of a title is that it can help us to tell us what the text is about before we start reading it. So when I read Solar System as a title, I can make a guess or an inference that this book's probably about the solar system. So now you should pause your video and write right in that setting, how does it help? You can write the purpose, which I just shared with you guys. So based on the title, 10 Steps to Mastering Multiplication, what do you think that book's about? So if you turn in your packet, you'll be able to see that question. So right on page 3, make an inference. What do you think that title is about? All right, so the next text feature is the table of contents. Now the table of contents is a big list or a short list that's at the beginning of the book usually, and it tells us the chapters or the units in the book. As you can see, I have examples of table of contents here. Have you ever seen one in a book that you've read? You may be wondering, how is it useful? Well, it helps us by giving us the page numbers. So if I tell you to turn to chapter 3 about fish, you can look in the table of contents, find chapter 3, and find the page number so you don't have to flip through the book. So it saves us a lot of time and helps us to organize. So now, in your table of contents, I want you to fill in what is it and how does it help us. And remember, you can always rewind if you want to see the slide again. So we see this example here of a table of contents, and I'm asking you, on what page can I learn about snakes? If I want to learn about snakes, which page should I go on? So turn again to page 3 of your packet and answer number 2. On what page of the table of contents can I learn about snakes? So the next text features we're learning about are headings and subheadings. So a heading is a bold word. They're both bold words that are found at the beginning of a page or a section of a book. So you can see here where it says the history of rubber ducks. That would be a heading. Now a subheading, which you find underneath, would be a type of heading, but it's usually found at the beginning of a paragraph or a smaller section. So there where it says Sesame Street and the Duck, that would be a subheading. A way we can remember that is how a submarine goes underwater. A subheading is a smaller type of heading that goes underneath or within an article or a book. So how can headings and subheadings help us as readers? Well, the heading divides the text into sections and it explains what each section will be about. It gives you a hint, just like a title gives you a hint about the article or a book. So this can help readers to look for information in a nonfiction text. If you're reading a book about animals and I want you to find something about pigs, you might find a heading about pigs and you'll know where to look. You'll read that section. And subheadings, well, they're just more specific and help readers find details. So the heading might say pigs and the subheading might say what pigs eat. So that would make a more specific section for you. All right, now since subheadings are just a type of heading, I just want you to write here in your packet what are headings, under what are they, and then how do they help us. Remember, you can always rewind and look back to the slide where I tell you what they are and how they help us as readers. All right, so now I want you to flip to page 4 in your packet, and you're going to see an example of a small page of an article here. And I want you to give me one example of a heading and one example of a subheading. So the arrows are pointing to either headings or subheadings. So I want you to give me one example of a heading and one example of a subheading and write that down underneath. All right, so our next text feature is a caption. So at the beginning of the lesson, I asked you guys, what might help you to understand a text besides the words on the page? And a lot of you probably said photos. Well, if we don't know what a photo is about, it's not going to be very helpful. So captions help us by explaining what the picture is about. So the caption explains what the picture is about, and it gives the reader an understanding of what that picture is and why it's important. And it doesn't have to be under the picture. It can be next to the picture or on top of the picture or near the picture. And so here we have some examples. So when I see that picture of the little boy, I might write as a caption, a young boy is dressed as Harry Potter for Halloween. So how can a caption help the reader? Well, the caption can tell us about the who, what, and where of a picture. Captions can help readers understand what they're looking at, which gives them clues as to what the text is about. So now you'll pause the video and flip to page 2, and right next to captions, you're going to write what are they and how do they help us. All right, all, now I want you to turn to page 5, and you can see this adorable picture of my dog and her friend. And I want you to try to create a caption for the photo and write it underneath or next to the picture. And I want it to include at least 2 details. So here's a tip. What do you see in the picture? What are they doing? All right, are you ready? The next one is diagrams. A diagram is a text feature, and a diagram is a drawing, plan, or chart that explains or shows something. So it can show the parts of something like an animal or a motor, and it can also show a cycle like the water cycle. Diagrams can label things, and they really can help the reader in many ways. Diagrams can help the reader because they can show the parts of something, they can explain how something works, and it helps the reader understand a process, something that happens, or a concept, something that they're learning. So now you can turn again to page 2 in your packet, and next to diagrams, you can write what are they and how do they help. So you might remember the rainbow fish story. Well, I want you to turn in your packet and I want you to label the diagram of the rainbow fish. This is on page 6 of your packet, and as you can see, there's a word box just to help you out. Alright, so the next text feature is something very important. You may have seen these in your math classes, in your science classes, in the newspaper. Well, these are tables and graphs. A table shows information in a way that's easy to read, like on the left in that pink. That's a table. It has columns and rows. And a graph takes information that could be put in a table, but it shows you in a visual way, like that pie chart or circle graph that you see on the right there. So how are tables and graphs helping us to understand what we're reading? Well, the table helps the reader to easily read and compare data. Data is the information, or usually the numbers, and a graph can organize information, and it helps the reader to see it in a visual way. Now, this works very well when we're comparing things. If the author just lists a bunch of numbers on the page, sometimes it's hard for us to realize the differences between them and what those really mean. And graphs can help us, and so can tables. Now on page 2 of your packet, right next to tables and right next to graphs, you have 2 jobs this time. For each of those things, I want you to write what are they and how do they help us. Remember to rewind if you need to. So now that we know about tables and graphs, I want to know, when you're reading a story or a nonfiction text, which do you prefer, tables or graphs? And please let me know why. So please turn to page 6 to answer that for me.
Alright class, so now that you've learned about text features, I wanted to read you this original text that he shared with me. And I have some resources for you guys that maybe you can help put some text features into my original text, which Miss Procell will explain to you.
Alright, so you guys are doing an awesome job. I know you worked really hard answering those questions and taking those notes. And I know you just heard from my friend Titus again. So now we're going to look at the original text, and I have a worksheet for you guys. It's in your packet, so if you turn in your packet, you'll find it, and it shows the original text that starts here with a blank table of contents, and it continues, and then here I have a lot of different choices for you guys, so you can pick titles and headings, but we're going to work on this together, and you're going to do some of it independently. So here's the first page of it, and in your packet it's page 7, and I see a blank table of contents. That might make it hard to find the information that we're looking for and what page it might be on. Now if you turn to the next page, so page 8 in your packet, it says, well, first of all, I see 2 blank spaces there. There's no title, and what is the next thing? Right, there's no heading. So it says, this Thanksgiving, people are going to be very hungry. The pandemic has caused an extra need for turkey. You need to understand that 50% of people shop the Monday before Thanksgiving, 15% shop on Tuesday, 25% shop on Wednesday morning, and the last 10% shop on Thanksgiving Day. Well, that's highlighted because how can we organize that information so that he can see it visually? Well, you need to escape on Sunday night before the rush of shoppers. Alright, now let's flip to page 9. You can see a blank spot at the top there, but I'm not going to tell you what goes there. I want you to figure it out based on what you've learned. The farm has one major escape route. You need to escape out of the red barn door and through the tunnel that is underneath the bush. When you get to the bottom of the tunnel, you will need to put together a small wagon that you will drive out of the farm through the green fence. The wagon has 6 parts. So I think we talked about labeling parts, and that's why I highlighted put together a small wagon. What do you guys think we could put there? What text feature might be helpful for Titus the turkey? Now the last page of the original text we can find on page 10 of your packet. Another blank space at the top where you'll put something there. Then you will come to see me. I will be at my secret home preparing a vegetarian Thanksgiving victory meal of tofurkey, which is tofu turkey, and cranberry sauce. You will be able to recognize me. Now I highlighted that, and you'll find out when you look at the rest of the packet what you can put there. You will be thankful to have escaped the Thanksgiving rush, and these instructions will hopefully make sense. Hopefully. Well, good thing we can put some text features in there to help Titus. So now we read the original text, and in the packet, you're going to find in the last pages that I have a lot of different text features that you're going to put in right where the highlighted spaces are, you're going to put it in that area where it's most appropriate. So before we start that, I wanted to make sure that you guys had materials. So you make sure you have your packet. You make sure you got some scissors. I got some nice blue ones here. And make sure you got a glue stick that works. You can check if it works. It can be purple or white or any color. And also want to make sure that you have at least 4 different colors of crayon or colored pencil or marker, because you're going to need those during this activity. Then we're going to start, and I'm going to explain to you what you have to do, and then you're going to do it independently, and then come back and you're going to check your work. All right, well, I'm really excited to let you guys get this work done and get it done for Titus to help him and save his life. So I want you to put the text features where they belong. So as you can see, there wasn't a title, so I'm going to ask you to choose a title, cut it out, and then glue it right on to the original text where the title should go. And then for the headings, I have 3 different headings written here for you. They each match one of the sections. You might have to read the sections again to figure out where the heading might go, or which heading goes with each section. Then if you flip to page 12, you'll see a picture of, I think that's Titus's friend, so that Titus knows what he looks like. Well, if he just sees a picture of a turkey, he might not know what the picture's of, so this needs a caption. So please write the caption in the box. This is Titus's friend, and what is he doing? And you can say what he's doing and who he is, and you're going to cut and paste the picture and the caption to the appropriate place or the appropriate page of the original text. Now, if you turn to page 13, you're going to see a graph. You might remember in the original text, a bunch of data was listed of the percentage of the shoppers that shop on each day before Thanksgiving. This is important for him to understand. So we're going to color in this graph that now shows us the information in a much easier way. And we're going to cut this out, and then you're going to glue it right in to the original text where it belongs. Then we have a diagram. Remember how he said that he's going to have to put together a wagon? Well, it would make it a lot easier for Titus if he could see what the wagon looks like and see the different parts. So you can label the different parts of the wagon: wheels, handle, or body. You're going to put that on the line, as you can see your word box there, and then you're going to cut out the whole diagram, including the lines and the labels, and you're going to glue it on the appropriate page. So listen carefully. At this point, you should rip out the pages of the original text from the packet so that you have now glued all the parts in. So now you're going to use the headings that you're going to glue into each section. You're going to write the title of that heading on each of these lines right next to the page that section is on. So if on the first page you have a certain heading, you're going to write that heading there next to page 1. Then you're going to cut the table of contents out and glue it right where it said table of contents on the original text, but it was left blank. So make sure you got all your materials, and you can go ahead, and it might be helpful even now just to rip the pages out like this. Like I might rip the pages of the original text so that they're easier for me to glue onto, make them separate from the rest of the packet. But you can choose whatever strategy you want. Just make sure you follow the instructions that are also written on the paper and do your best work, and then you're going to come back and you're going to see the finished product and see if you did the work correctly. Good work, guys. Now let's go over our answers. Here's what your table of contents should look like. Please pause and make sure that yours is the same. Now for this next page, you could have had the other title as well, but the heading should be information about Thanksgiving shoppers. Also, please make sure you added that pie chart and make sure that you colored it in and that it's in the right spot. On this next page, you should have the heading that says details of the escape plan, and please write a caption underneath your turkey. And I have an example caption here, but as long as your caption says who and what he's doing, then you're good. For the last page, it should say final instructions about arrival for the heading, and you should have labeled correctly that diagram. So please make sure that you correctly labeled the diagram. Great job once again.
Thank you so much for your help. This makes a lot more sense now. I was hoping that you guys could explain to me why each of these text features can help me. For example, you could explain to me that the diagram will help me understand which days the shoppers come.
You know what, guys? Titus is right. So for your exit ticket, I want you to take out your reader's notebook. And inside your reader's notebook, I want you to write to me how each of the different text features we used, so you can look at your final copy that you glued onto, and you're going to write how each of those specifically helped Titus. So I want you to write it specifically. That means I don't just want you to say that the diagram helps us understand things. No, I want you to tell me, for example, that this diagram of the wagon is going to help Titus to build the wagon. I want you to write how each of the text features helped him to understand the text. So I want you to write 2 sentences about each one. So when you finish that, you're going to take a picture of it, or you're going to hand it to me tomorrow in class. Today we learned about several text features. Remember that text features help us to organize the information and understand the information that is written. So this is your exit ticket where you're going to show me what you know. So in your reader's notebook, please write 2 sentences for each of the text features that are in the new text for Titus and explain how they can help Titus to understand the text and escape before Thanksgiving. Here's an example. If you were writing about the pie chart, you could say that the pie chart is a graph that helps organize the data about Thanksgiving shopping. This helps Titus to understand why he needs to leave Sunday night. In that white box I wrote for you guys, here are all the text features that we used when we created the new text for Titus. Table of contents, title, headings, caption, diagram, and graph. So I need 2 sentences for each of those in your reader's notebook. Thank you so much, guys, and I'm so glad that you learned with me about text features.